The Uglydolls line of toys was launched in 2001, and in 2019 they now have a big screen movie about to debut. Along with that, there's a video game out for many home consoles, Uglydolls An Imperfect Adventure. But is this trip to Uglyville worth taking, or are the imperfections in this one too many to ignore? Uglydolls An Imperfect Adventure is an open-world game where you have two playable characters, a male and a female Uglydoll that you get to take the role of, and go on a multiple-chapter adventure helping the various other Uglydolls in a large Uglyville setting that you get to explore. The game is clearly made for a younger audience in mind. The open-world setting here is kind of a nice basic introductory game to that style of gameplay. All the quests are basically fetch quests throughout, with you needing to meet up with a certain Uglydoll character, them giving you an objective like go around and gather a certain number of items. No matter what the item ends up being that you have to gather, they're all represented by the same golden coin. So while this will be easy for younger gamers to grasp, just gathering anything that is a gold coin is a good idea. However, for everyone else, it just kind of comes off as a bit lazy not seeing the various items, whether it be ice or pieces of a disco machine, instead of all just being that same exact thing from moment one to the last moment of the game. Exploring Uglyville and gathering these items, though, is actually a little bit enjoyable. You'll get various crafting items throughout that give you more abilities, whether it be run shoes, a pogo stick, or even flight, that will allow you to get up to higher areas and be able to get over places. What I love about the game is there's multiple ways to figure out how to get these gold coin items that you need to in every one of the missions. For example, you have an item that you can craft search balloons in order to point you in the direction of items. If you want a more difficult experience though, you never have to use those search balloons in order to help you even indicate where you're supposed to be looking. You may have an item that requires speed shoes in order to gather it by hitting a switch and then quickly running for the door, but you may not have the items necessary to craft speed shoes at that moment. So you of course can go around and gather those supplies, or you could maybe use the pogo stick to bounce over the wall instead of having to go through the door, or flying over that same wall using the flight. This bit of freedom when it comes to finishing the missions I think will lead to some kids enjoying it a bit more as they can have a bit more creativity. While exploring Uglyville on its own is actually pretty fun, and I think some people will enjoy doing that and digging into every nook and cranny to find all the various little collectibles and such. The money that you gather in the game can be spent on a few things, including random items that are craftable, as well as new craftable items altogether. I do wish, though, that more of those craftable items that you end up buying really would come into play in the game. A lot of them you don't even need to get in order to finish the main story, which was over way too quickly for my liking. The game has an interesting look to it. They actually use the Unreal Engine here for it, and using the Uglydoll aesthetic, it's kind of interesting here what ends up happening. I like the world and Uglyville and exploring it and all. I just wish there was more to do in Uglyville besides just these kind of fetch quests that you're doing. From the technical side of things, the game didn't crash on me, but it did freeze on me on load up on 2 occasions. Just loading up and trying to get to the main menu, the game just outright froze, but nothing while I was actually in the game. Uglydolls An Imperfect Adventure is available now on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC for $39.99. It does feature a Platinum Trophy on the PlayStation 4. Overall, with Uglydolls An Imperfect Adventure, it's a nice little introductory open-world game that some younger audience members and some newer gamers will probably end up digging. It has a kind of cute feel to it all, which was very relaxing to play. There's nothing really difficult about the game. Missions are pretty easy. You can use the search balloons if you want to, and even if you end up losing your health, you just go back to the starting point of Uglyville. You don't lose any progress or anything like that. But with the pretty short main story, as well as not a whole lot to do in Uglyville, I will say that having local co-op is a nice little addition, but at the price, it's a bit hard to recommend unless you're a really big Uglydolls enthusiast. I'm going to be giving the game a 6 out of 10. That's going to wrap up this review though. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.